I look forward to seeing you dance on March 30th.
Awesome, man. I'll shake the ass a little bit on the way up.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Hurt Business Podcast. My name's Faris Sharari, and today I'm bringing a special guest, a fascinating story in the sport of local MMA. He is Brendon Motor. How we doing today, champ?
I'm good.
My favorite place to start, always with guys making their debut on the show, is nickname Motor.
So our gym is interesting. My coach, Bill, it's sort of like a thing. It's been going on for years. You don't really know your nickname until you get into the cage and they announce it. So people are just surprised that, whatever people have come up with. I actually found it a little bit earlier, only because Christina Katsikis, one of the female fighters from the gym, she just pushed it so hard. She's like, you have to be motorboats. You have to be motorboats. So I sort of knew that she was going to wear Bill down and make sure that, that became the nickname. So I did have a little bit of an indication going in that was going to be the nickname. But when your last name's Boats, I guess you got to come up with something kind of clever.
Yeah, something that flows well.
Yeah, exactly. I'm wearing KK's hat right now, by the way. It's my meat grinder hat.
There we go. Shout out. Any did you have a different nickname in mind that you were like, I kind of hope we go with that one instead?
No, not really. The only other one that got suggested was Johnny Campbell, who's on this card too. Johnny threw out boats and hose. He thought that would be funny, but that was really it. I didn't have any I'm not in a place where I can be out there picking nicknames or anything like that.
Boats and hose would have been a great one, I must say.
That's on the shirt. That's on the fight shirt this time. It's nice. It's like an election shirt that says boats and hose. So,
oh, dude, that's awesome. And where can people buy the merch?
So I put my order in this week. If people want to hit me up, I can still sneak in a few more. Just shoot me a message, on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and I can get them sneak those in before they get printed up.
All right, sweet. Well, slide in mine for XL, please. I would love one of those boats and hose.
You got it.
Now, reading about you is pretty interesting. You have a pretty decorated background in collegiate soccer coaching.
Yeah, so I've been coaching full time for 22 years. When I first got out of college, I worked as a teacher for 1 year, and I had enough of that and realized that I could, teach still, but coach a sport and wear shorts and sweatpants to work every day. So became a full-time coach, coached club soccer, high school soccer, college soccer. Went back to a full-time college job this year out in Springfield, which is where I went to college. I've been doing this for a long time.
And did you play soccer growing up?
Yeah, all through youth soccer, high school soccer, and I actually played at Springfield College when I was in school too.
Sick. That's awesome. Do you have a favorite moment from when you played?
Oh goodness. Actually, it's kind of a funny one. It's not even related to soccer, but I suppose it relates to fighting. So my club soccer team growing up was a collection of good players, but we were, just more interested in having a good time and, and not really using our talent to its fullest potential. So we used to frequently get in little altercations, and we were in Long Island for a tournament. And actually, little skirmish broke out, as it does with 17-year-old boys, and a huge brawl ensued, fighting the other team's players. And then the other team's parents came out to fight us as well. So we're fighting the parents and the players at the same time. And my good friend, Alex Karalexis, who was on the first season of The Ultimate Fighter, and fought in the UFC and the WEC. Alex was on our team at that time, got punched in the face by a kid when a parent was holding him back. And then you see on the video, my mother actually had a VHS tape of this whole brawl. You see Alex searching for this kid the whole time. He's running around, everyone's fighting. He finds the kid and just blasts him and explodes his face. It's actually unbelievable. But so the video cuts off with my good buddy Kevin grabbing an umbrella and hitting someone's dad over the head with it.
Ooh. No, see, a story like that is way cooler than like a hat trick or scoring.
Yeah.
Goals
I think you gotta relate it to fighting. Yeah, you gotta relate it to fighting. So yeah, it was there were some interesting characters on that team. Like I said, some good soccer players, but sorry, we didn't lose very many fights, that's for sure.
I can imagine that be the case. Now, and then you listed your coaching experience. Do you have a favorite moment from that?
There's a lot, honestly. Everyone always thinks about championships and games you won and stuff like that. The biggest one for me, honestly, I had a team. These girls are all like 30 years old now, but when they were little, I took them over, just sort of the bad news bears, not the greatest team in the world. And I thought, my goodness, these kids are, are really not very good. And then just progressively they got better and better and better. They weren't the most naturally talented kids, but worked so hard, got promoted through the leagues that they were in, and ended up, I want to say, more than half the team played college soccer. And the vast majority of them ended up as like captains of their high school teams and stuff. And when I took them over, at 11, 12, I honestly would have told you they'd be lucky to make their high school soccer team. So that's probably my proudest coaching accomplishment, that just taking that group. I mean, I've had incredibly talented teams that have, won national championships and all this stuff, but the best sort of coaching, feeling I had was getting those players to, from where they started to where they finished up.
Mm, that's awesome stuff. Did you have any of your former players play in any leagues or anything like that
Yeah,
professionally?
yeah. So actually, right now, one of so not this year's NWSL draft, last year's NWSL draft. One of my former players got picked 6 overall, so she plays for North
Oh,
Carolina Courage now.
sick.
Yeah, and then so the Mua sisters, who are from Hanson, which is the next town over for me. I worked with Christy and Sam, at their soccer club and clinics and things like that for years and years. I never actually coached either of their teams directly, but I worked with them, and their teammates frequently. And they both went on to be, among the 20 best players in the entire country. So, and Sammy just retired because she injured her knee, but
Mm,
phenomenal players.
that's awesome stuff.
Mhm.
Now, if any, are there any similarities in preparing for a soccer match versus preparing for a fight?
Not really. I'd say like cardio training, I guess, because you have to be in shape to do both things. But otherwise, no, it's not really. It doesn't relate very much. And I can't play soccer anymore either. My legs are so banged up, and I don't run unless someone's chasing me either. So, there's none of that. But yeah, I would say like the cardio aspect, because obviously, you're playing a soccer game, you're running for miles and miles and miles. But it's different though too. A fight is a different sort of cardio, and I tell people that all the time. You could be a marathoner, you come into the gym and do like one round of wrestling or one round of grappling and feel like you're going to throw up on yourself. It's just a completely different kind of, kind of cardio. So, and that's, I was kind of disappointed in my last fight too. I didn't really, get to train properly and all that. So, even though I won the decision, I was sort of pissed that in the last round, I was pretty tired. So to make sure that doesn't happen this time.
Mm. Or is that something you pride yourself on, the ability to go the full distance and
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously you don't want to, right? We don't. Well, I mean, amateurs we don't get paid at all, but we're certainly not getting paid by the hour in there. So, I'd rather just go in and win quickly. But yeah, I mean, in a weird way, the last fight was great because it showed me that I could at least survive, the full 3 rounds.
Mhm.
But I'm not trying to, to get a decision. I'm trying to get it finished as quickly as possible and go have fun with all the friends and family out there. But yeah, it's good to, and at my age too, it's like. I feel like I have to put even a little bit extra work in just because, I'm going to be 47 soon and, you don't recover quite like you used to.
Mm. You mentioned the age. I gotta ask, what led to the decision to make an MMA amateur debut at 44 years young?
Basically, my wife will tell you it's because I'm stupid. Um, but I love the sport. As a teenager, I started watching the UFC in the mid 90s and became obsessed with the local MMA scene when Alex, who I referenced earlier, started fighting and, in the mass destruction shows and stuff like that. So I always loved it, never once considered fighting. My boys joined the gym where Alex started when they were 7 and 9 years old. And I wasn't training at all. I was just kind of watching them and, they started doing grappling tournaments and doing really well. And I was like, you know what, I should at least train and get in shape and be able to hang with them a little bit. And again, no intention of fighting, signed up to do a grappling tournament, had fun doing that. And then after about a year and a half of training, I said, oh, maybe I'd like to try one, just get in there and see how it goes, see if I can actually do it. And, then it turned into this, big whole thing now.
You've become like a fan favorite in the hall. It's become like the loudest eruptions or whenever, Brandon Boats is making his walkout.
Yeah, I think the old guy thing helps because I know Greg Jones, another old guy who's been fighting a lot recently. Greg gets massive, crowd
Yeah.
reactions. He's from the Plymouth area too, which helps. But yeah, I think it's you get obviously the people you sell tickets to, and I've done a decent job selling a pretty good number of tickets. They're of course going to yell for you, and then I think you do like people who are sort of neutral. They always want the old guy to win, right? So they're like, all right, yeah, I'm going to cheer for this guy, and hope he does well. And frankly, our gym as well. Social sport fighting always has a big contingent of people, so that helps too, having all those guys there.
Yeah, SSFO. You guys always roll super deep. Every fight card, Zach. I mean, you
Yeah,
guys
this
always
one with
steal the
Johnny,
show.
on this one too. I would imagine we're gonna have a pretty good
Yeah,
crowd.
yeah. I'm so excited for Johnny to fight. I know he was going off on trying to get a fight. Nobody wanted to accept the bout versus him, and I was enjoying his Facebook post way more than I
Oh
probably
yeah,
should have.
yeah, yeah. I tell everyone he's the most interesting man in the world. Johnny's he's my favorite fighter, but he's my favorite training partner too because he could, of course, eviscerate me inside of 2 seconds, but he doesn't do that. He has this beautiful way of making you work super hard and making you get a great workout, but also not pounding your face in. It's really cool to work with him just because he's so good at that, at knowing exactly where to push you without actually punishing you and making your life miserable. So he's a lot of fun. But he's the most, speaking to him, if you talk to him for like even 10 minutes, like, oh my God, your mind just expands. It's unbelievable. Talking to the guy. He's absolutely hilarious. So I'm psyched for him to get back in there. And honestly, like I wouldn't want to fight him either. He's one of those guys where his record, you look at it, 22-15 or whatever it is, and you think like, oh, like, fighting this guy's not going to do anything for me because he's got 15 losses. But then you start to think about and realize how good he is and the guys that he's beaten. And it's just such a risky fight to take for a guy who's trying to get to the next level. Because I mean, frankly, Johnny will more than likely beat most of those guys. So fighting him is just a lose-lose. So I get why he can't get fights. It's just he's not a great guy to fight if you're trying to get to the UFC because he's likely going to beat you.
That is a good statement. That experience, it's tough whenever you're a young guy and a guy has 40 something fights.
Right.
How
Absolutely.
difficult how difficult is it fighting a fight for you?
It all depends. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of really good fighters who'd love to fight me and beat the hell out of me, but and I don't make any sort of bones about the fact that I haven't fought killers. I'm not out there trying to make this career and fight the toughest people I can find in New England or whatever. But it's it's sometimes a little more difficult. If at first it wasn't hard just because I was the old guy who's never fought, whatever, anyone would fight me. But now, like, I've had a few people say no just because they've seen my fights and I guess they think like I'm half decent or whatever. Which again I completely disagree with, but I get it because I think see the bald guy maybe looks a little scary. I don't know, with all the tattoos and stuff. But yeah, so it hasn't been too hard. The last kid I fought was actually a really nice kid. He was he found out that I was doing it for my friends to raise money. He was super supportive of that. Likewise for the guy that I'm fighting next. He and I went back and forth, messaged a few times, and he was all about trying to help out. So like I'm not one of those people who's like into the trash talk and the back and forth and stuff. So I have kind of a cordial relationship with the guys. I just don't want to fight anyone I know. Like I visit other gyms all the time. So I get to train with all different people. So like the guys in the local scene, it's tough for me because I'm like, oh, I trained with that guy, or this coach or that coach. I just want to fight strangers. I don't want to fight people I actually know.
Fair. March 30th,
Sir.
you're making your return to the hall. You mentioned last time around you were fighting for a buddy. I know this time around you're doing the same. I'd like to give you the platform here just to completely tell us about your buddy Tim, your relationship with him, where he currently stands, and how we can help.
Yeah, so Tim is a coaching buddy of mine. We coached together for 6 years, from 2013 to 2019. I knew him before that, but we started coaching together during that time. So he actually had a stroke on the sideline during soccer, and was only survived because our other friends that we coached with reacted so quickly and saved him, and got him the care that he needed right away. So thankfully he survived that. He's going through a pretty intensive rehab, and he has been for a number of years now. Still doesn't have full use of his arms and hands. He can't really manipulate objects very well, and he's working so hard at it. He has four little kids, age 6, 4, and he has twin 2-year-olds. So I mean, just imagine trying to deal with all that, and you can't really properly function physically and everything else. So I'm doing this just to raise money for him. It's not going to be life-changing money, obviously. I'm not going to be making millions of dollars or anything like that, but I feel like even if it's enough money for him and his family to get away for a couple of days and sort of stop thinking about his symptoms and his issues that he's going through, it's great. But as far as donating and stuff like that, my ticket sales, all that money goes to Tim. So anyone that needs tickets, although I've run out now, I'm trying to get more. T-shirt sales go to Tim. all the profits from all of that. And then anyone that wants to make straight donations, just message me. I can give you the Venmo. And some people give $10, some people give $100, whatever. Whatever anyone gives as a straight donation just goes right to Tim.
That's a beautiful thing. I appreciate you for standing up for something and for going out there and doing a brave thing by stepping in the cage, but also spreading a beautiful message for your buddy and trying to make a difference.
Yeah, he's such a good guy too. I mean, obviously you don't know him, but anyone that knows Tim, he's the sweetest dude. Do anything for anyone. He's like the best friend you could ever have. Incredibly helpful. Cheerful, just great guy all around. So, I've never met a person that dislikes the guy. So, there's no one I could think of to do it for more so than Tim. And honestly, like for me to get in there and do it again, I don't feel like my wife is going to let me keep doing this unless it's for a reason. So if I just tell her I'm doing it just for laughs, she's going to be like, hell no, you're not doing that again.
Is the whole family in the arena on a fight night?
Usually, yes. The last one they did not. This one is kind of up in the air. So my oldest has baseball games all day, and I really don't even think they could get down there to like 7 or 7:30, which I'll be early on the card, so it's probably not even worth it. I don't think they'll even get there in time. My daughter went to my second fight. She doesn't love it though. And then my middle one, my younger son, he might go only because I coach his club soccer team too, and half of his team is going, and I think he's going to have like real FOMO if his buddies are there and he's not there.
Yeah, sure.
Unless of course I lose horribly, and then he's gonna be embarrassed, like, oh, sorry, I came here and my dad got his ass kicked. But, whatever. So yeah, a bunch of the parents and players from his team are going, so we might try to sneak him in with one of them, even though my wife can't go.
I'll tell you what, man, no matter what happens on fight night, there's no better show than a Cage Titans fight. And I've never watched my dad step in a cage, but I can't imagine how cool that must be. And especially,
they're actually, my kids are actually less impressed than all of their friends. Because my kids train, right? My sons, anyway, they train and they know like the real like tough guys from our gym, like what badasses they are, and they're like, Dad, you're terrible, you're not good at this. They give me no credit, not that I deserve any either. So they've been around the sport enough to know like, yeah, Dad's just like some bum, right, who just does this as a hobby or whatever. So they give me zero credit, even when their friends like, oh, that's so cool your dad does that. Like, yeah, whatever, he sucks. And my oldest is 14, and he is already better than me. Like, I feel like if we fought, I could probably still beat him now, just because if I can get him down and get on top of him, just size wise, I can probably take him. But if we had a kickboxing match, he would rip me apart. It's not even close. He's way better than me.
What is it?
He's better than me. What is it too? I'm just bigger.
What does he have on you? Is it the speed? Is it the what does he got?
Everything: skill, speed, technique, all that. He's now an inch taller than me too. So even though I'm heavier, he's got reach and everything else. But yeah, he actually, the week before my last fight, he and I were doing some MMA sparring, just trying to, because he's grown since then, but he was about the same height as my opponent at the time. So like, all right, this will be good. And he did a spinning back kick to my liver and just dropped me. I was like, oh my God, we have it on tape. It was so embarrassing. But yeah, at the time he was 13. I was like, I can't believe I just got freaking dropped at the gym by my 13-year-old kid. But I still posted it because, like, whatever,
it's probably a sweet technique that you probably taught.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'll send it to you after this. Yeah, it's like I said, I was half proud, half embarrassed. Right? It's like, oh my God, a child just dropped me. But then I'm like, well, at least it's my kid. It's like, all right, he's pretty good.
In a few months, years, he sits you down. He's like, all right, Dad, I'm pretty good at this fighting stuff. I want to fight.
Yeah, we've already talked about it.
Are you green lighting it? Are you fine with it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But he has to be consistently training though. So he actually had a kickboxing match set up for 2 months ago. And it was against the kid who was like 6 months younger than him, but the same weight. And he's like, all right, yeah, great. And then that kid dropped out. And I've never really been more proud than his response when they offered him a new kid. So then they offered him a kid who was almost 3 years older and like definitely more physically mature. So the kid was going on 17. Like I saw pictures of him. He's a pretty muscular, big kid. I was like, all right, they've offered you this kid. And without hesitation, he said, I don't give a, what. He's like, I'll fight him. I said, oh, okay, no problem. Now, unfortunately, the whole event got canceled, so he didn't get to do it. But yeah, he's got that mentality. He's definitely all about doing it. So yeah, I mean, now it could change, right? He's 14. When he's 16, he might have a girlfriend, 17, 18, whatever. When he's finally legally able to fight at 18, he might hate this. I don't think he will, but we don't pressure him. We just let him make his own decisions. But right now, he expressed he wants to fight. So
Fair, fair, and, I'm sure under no better guidance than his father's in this fight game.
much better guidance from his coaches and his training partners at the gym. Believe me, I'm just his punching bag at this point. He's got guys like Johnny, Manny Bermudez, spars with him. Bill Mahoney, of course, is his head coach, and Bill's like a fight genius. Danielle Heinley too with grappling stuff. So yeah, he does not need any help from Dad. Trust me.
Brandon, this was a pleasure. I appreciate you coming, giving me the time tonight. I will link your socials everywhere. Hopefully, we can get your buddy some more donations on our end,
I
and
appreciate it.
I look forward to seeing you dance on March 30th.
Awesome, man. I'll shake the ass a little bit on the way.